Bossman Show with Coach Charles Huff, Marshall Thunder and Herd, the Conference USA. Coach, how things going up there for you guys, man?
Man, we're doing well, man. Obviously, we are in the middle of the season here, grinding through, working to kind of close the gap and try and get better. We've got some good things going on. We've got some things we got to get cleaned up. But it's exciting. Community's all behind us. Players are working hard. So I couldn't be happier.
And Coach, I know you don't do more victories, but you got to be happy where you got competed. I know you lost three games in a row, but you competed well in every game. Could have won every game. A player two here or there. Let's talk about how your guys are very close to being 5-0, even though they didn't win the games, but they really play well and can learn from the tape here and see, hey, if we do this better, execute a little better, we can get these wins going down the stretch here.
Yeah, and I think the word you use is exactly what we are. We're close, when you're close to anything, it's the little things that make the difference. And I think sometimes as players, coaches, and people in general, you devalue the little things until it catches up to you when it catches up to you. And we've just been in a situation where it's been multiple little things. When I talk to the team, we just got to kind of put it all together. Great learning opportunities, great learning experiences. A lot of positives that come out of those things. I don't believe in failure. I believe in learning. You start failing when you stop learning. And I think our team is learning, and I think we're putting ourselves in position to clean up those things and be able to build on them moving forward.
It's being year one for you there, building your culture. Guys can see how you handle adversity as a coach and your staff, and it can help them get in their brains. Okay, we saw coach handle these things. He wants to learn. We're not failing here. It's about getting better every day. So I feel like your guys are in a great spot because your mindset. And I've watched you guys on film. You guys compete hard. So it's not like you're not playing hard. It's just like little things here and there. But I feel like doing this in year one, it'll set the standard for going forward from 2, 3, 4. And all the rest of the time you're there up in Marshall,
yeah,
Coach.
I think the biggest thing is, like you said, when you're building a culture, it's a process. It's not a switch. Anytime if I was, I don't know who won the Super Bowl last year, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. If I took over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and just came in and did the exact same thing that the old coach did, even then it still takes time. I think anytime you have different relationships, different nucleuses, this team is 100% different than last year's team. I think a lot of people sometimes think, oh, they returned a lot of starters. Well, these guys are a year older. There's people that have moved on. There's people's lives change. So any team you have, whether you've been in a place, Coach Saban used to say it all the time. We've been here in Alabama for a long time, but every team is different. So every team takes time to kind of work through the things that they need to be able to work through, to grow together, to work together. And it's magnified when you have a brand new coaching staff. It's new relationships, new expectations. But I think the guys have done a phenomenal job of buying into what we're asking them to do. And buy-in does not mean fully understanding. Buy-in means I'm going to try to do what you say do, even though I may not understand it. Culture comes when they understand why you're asking them to do what you're doing. So I think we're getting to that point.
How has it been, Coach? Meeting all your players new and then learning your new team. I feel like I have fun when I get new interns, Coach. That's my fun part. Getting to learn about new interns, learn how they operate, learn about them personally. So how's it feel, to learn these guys who you took over and they know that you're their guy. Like you chose them. It's like I know some guys like, well, you didn't recruit me, but I chose you guys. How's that been for you and your staff, man?
I think it's been great. I think we are intentional about being relational. I think that's the key. I think building a relationship before you can motivate or before you can, direct anyone, you got to build a relationship. And I think sometimes, people forget that takes time. We're talking about young men and women in our program because you're building with the entire organization, not just the players, but the assistants and the staff. And it takes time to build a relationship because the relationship is built over trust. Trust is built over time tested events. So how can I trust you if you've never been put in a situation for me not to trust you? So some of those things take time. And I think as we continue to grow, I think our players know that we have their back. I think our players know that, yeah, we coached them hard. Yeah, we worked them hard, but we're ultimately doing it for their success or their benefit. So it's been good, and obviously, over time, each season changes. When I say season, in the spring, you're learning your players, but there's no pressure of a game. In the winter, you're learning your players, but there's no pressure of a game. But then you get in the season, it's a different learning. People react different when they actually are on the air with you than when they're talking behind the scenes. And, so there's different phases that you got to kind of work through and get to know each other.
Most definitely, coach. And I feel like this, coach, with your mindset, how you setting that standard for your young men, that the mental health piece is so important for young men. Hey, coach, I feel like, having a young guy like yourself can relate to him still. You're not like me and you about the same age. We can't relate to these guys still, because we're not too much of an OG. We got some age on us, though. So I feel like, so how have you approached their mental health and development and growing them as young men off the field as well, coach?
Yeah, well, one of the things that I was able to do, thanks to the administration here, is we were able to hire a mental health specialist to actually work with our players. They'd never had it before. So just imagine if take a cancer patient, and this person has had cancer for the last 4 or 5 years, and they've never been able to get treatment. But then you come in and you present chemo. Well, it takes time for that chemo to work, So when we got here, that was something that I'm big on, I believe in. And our players have that resource now, and they're learning how to use that. It's helping them become better. These are the things that people don't see when you lose 3 games in a row, which I fully understand what my job is. But our players are getting better. And I'm not talking about X's and O's. I'm talking about, like you talked about, mental health. We've had guys with issues. We've had guys come in the office and say, Coach, I never felt I could talk to anybody about this. Coach, I never even knew this was something that I could get help with. To me, those are the small victories that ultimately will show up on the field. And that's why I say it takes time. It's not a switch where all of a sudden I come in and I tap everybody on the head and we go win, 18 national championships. It's not how it works. But as those players start to unwind or unravel some of the craziness that's going on in their head and have support, as they start to build trust, well, then their on-field performance will start to be more consistent. It's hard to go out and perform on Saturday with people yelling at you when you're thinking about, mom being homesick, or your girlfriend called you last night and she was arguing with you, or you felt depressed this morning, or you feel like if you don't make this play, the world's going to end. You don't believe in yourself because you dropped this ball in practice. A lot of that stuff matters, and a lot of people don't really think of that. But as a head coach, you got to manage all of that.
And Coach Huff, that's why I try to use my show to show the listeners here that, hey, it's more than X's and O's out here. It takes more than just the X's and O's. You got to be father figure, the brother, the counselor. You got to wear a lot of hats as the head coach and as an assistant coach as well. So everything you do, the X's and O's is just the fun part of it. But it's the other part off the field, those other 21 hours a day that you're not on the practice field is where it really matters what your job is, what you get paid for.
Yeah, and I understand that. And like I said, I don't use those things as an excuse, because ultimately, a doctor is hired to fix people, and they don't care how you talk to them, how you make them feel. If you don't fix them, you're not doing your job. I'm hired to ultimately win football games. I fully understand that. But there is more to baking a cake than just putting the pan in the oven. So I think over time, people will start to see that when you build a program for sustained success, I'm not trying to just be a flash in the pan and get to the next job. It's not what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to build this program for sustained success so that year after year after year after year after year, our program will be stable. We'll be able to win. We'll be able to put guys, moving on with their careers, whether it's on the field, off the field, whatever it is, and our program will have stability.
Most definitely, Coach. Talk about this recruiting wise. Conference USA, name brand conference, a lot of great schools across from the Mid-Atlantic all the way to the Southwest out there, all different members you have. Talk about recruiting young men with the footprint you all have, how the portal can help you as well, filling gaps where you can't get it, when you're trying to get a high school guy as well.
Yeah, I think, obviously you want to take jobs where you have an opportunity to recruit talent in the radius. You talk about a 5-hour radius around your university where most of the time, most of those young men can keep their support system intact. They want their moms or dads or grandmother, their family to be able to come see them play. They want to be able to get home when they need to. So if you got a good fertile ground around 5 hours, you got a chance to be really successful and build a culture of a program. Because then again, in that area, because the kids have come from that area, that 5-hour radius, the school and the brand has a name, it has value. People that live around the school, they take pride in it. Hey, my little cousin went to Marshall. He 3 hours away. Let's go see him play. So it has value. I think the farther you get outside of that 5-hour radius, it gets a little watered down because you're probably competing with some other university or some other brand. So you just got to be mindful of that. That doesn't mean that you're not going to go to Florida or California or Texas and get players. It just means you want to try to get the bulk of your roster from right near home. And then obviously the transfer portal creates opportunities to plug gaps, where you may have a guy leave early. You may have a guy leave, transfer somewhere else. And instead of having to play a player that may not be ready physically, mentally, emotionally, whatever it may be, you have an opportunity to not let your team slip by filling it in with the transfer portal guys, an older guy or a guy that was somewhere, went too far away from home, wanted to get closer on whatever it is. I think you got to be mindful when you're talking about transfer portal. This is not free agency. You're bringing foster kids into your home. So I think you have to be mindful. Yeah, so-and-so may be playing at XYZ University and may be really good, but does he fit our program? Does he fit our need? So you got to kind of evaluate and recruit the portal as well as you do the high school guys. You go to high school, you find out what kind of kid he is, what kind of grades he has. Is he in the community doing the right things on and off the field? How does he work? I think you got to do those same things in the portal because, again, you don't want to bring kids, especially older kids, into your program who you don't have an opportunity to mold, you don't have an opportunity to change, and then they become issues.
No doubt. And Coach, tell us about this. You got Old Dominion coming up this week. What's been the keys for you this week against those guys, man? Another conference game for you guys there.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is we got to take care of us. I feel like I told the team, we have lost the last 3 games. We didn't get beat. Most games or more games are lost than won. Teams don't go out and win games. Usually another team loses a game. How? Turnovers, penalties, poor execution. And that's kind of when our tale of the story. Last game we had 6 turnovers. You can't win on Madden with 6 turnovers. It's hard to do. So obviously going out this week against another conference opponent, really good opponent. We got to take care of us. We got to go out and actually make them beat us, not give them the game, and that starts with obviously protecting the ball, doing a really good job of consistently executing, and then minimizing their big plays on the other side.
No doubt. And Coach, you went to Hampton. Tell me about going to HBCU school. I know the Pirates up there in the Big South. I know that's your alma mater. Tell us about your experience at Hampton and playing HBCU school, and why did you choose to go to HBCU school as well?
Yeah, no, Hampton was great to me. It was 4 hours away from home. Actually, my brother had went there. My older brother had went there, so I had a lot of familiarity with it. I was able to play football. I thought, coming from the area that I came from, I thought the cultural change would be good for me. Being able to have both sides of it being, mixed with different, races, different ethnicity, different, social backgrounds. So it was good for me. And it was a small school, so I was able to kind of, not feel overwhelmed. Sometimes your kids go to school at these major schools and they feel overwhelmed. So it was good for me. Played 4 years there, learned a lot. Still getting an opportunity to get back when I can. Still got a lot of pride. So it's been great.
Now, I also got told off air, Coach. We crossed paths with Tennessee State and over at Vanderbilt too. Because I was still in town, my master's degree when he was at Vanderbilt. So we crossed paths in Nashville. Yeah. We didn't know at the time we was at the same time. So tell us about Tennessee State, Mama Mater. And really, you coached there for a few years there, and land to go to Sunshine over there on John A. Merritt, man.
Yeah, it was good, man. It was my first opportunity to start coaching, and I thought I knew everything and knew nothing. And to be able, I actually was coaching guys that were older than me. So it was a good opportunity to get started. There's a lot of tradition there. Obviously, great history and tradition with Tennessee State and John Merritt and the Big Blue and all those things. And then obviously in a great city like Nashville, you have so many resources that you can get connected with, different people you get a chance to meet. Also spent time over at Vanderbilt. That area of the country to me is my favorite area of the country. When I vacation, I try to spend a couple of days in Nashville. It's just so much to do. Such a rich area, such a sports rich tradition. Obviously, we all know about the music, but such a sports rich tradition there. So I enjoyed every minute of it.